I wanted you to know we still miss you, but I'm glad that we've been able to do these videos for you. I hope you've enjoyed them. And as you know, I've had you start out doing some kind of activity. So right now, what I need you to do is find anything you can around your house. Maybe it's construction paper. Maybe it's just regular paper. Maybe you find some toilet paper rolls, anything like that. And take some time and try to make a boat. And then if your parents want to, they can take a picture and send that to me and let me see what your boats look like. So right now, if you want to pause it, take some time to go ahead and make that boat. That would be awesome. Otherwise, if you want to wait and do your boat later after the story, that's cool too. Today, our story is actually going to be read by another special guest.
Hello, my name is Maddie, and I'm going to be reading your story for you today. We will be in Acts chapter 27 if you want to read along. Paul's adventures and travels led him to Jerusalem. There, the Jewish leaders brought up false charges against him, and Paul was taken prisoner and sent to Caesarea to stand trial before King Agrippa. Although King Agrippa found that Paul had committed no crime, because he was a Roman citizen and had appealed to the Roman emperor, Paul was sent to Rome. Under the watchful eye of Julius, a Roman officer, Paul and a number of other prisoners boarded a large sailing ship that would carry them to many port cities along the long journey to Rome. Once aboard the ship, Paul was led on a winding journey that took him from Caesarea to Sidon, to Myra, and to Cydnus, then around the island of Crete, where they docked at a place called Fair Havens. Getting to Fair Havens had been a long and difficult journey. Winter was approaching, bringing with it dangerous weather and sailing conditions. Paul pleaded with the sailors and officers to stay on Crete. Paul warned them, continuing this journey will bring disaster to our ship, cargo, and our own lives. We should remain here. Despite Paul's warnings, the officer in charge was persuaded by the ship's captain to find a safer place on the island of Crete where they could spend the winter. Soon after they set sail, what was a gentle breeze turned into hurricane-force winds that blew their ship far off course and out into the open sea. The sailors tried to control the ship, but nothing they could do put them back on course. Exhausted, the sailors secured the ship as best they could with ropes and then let the storm drive them wherever it pleased. For many days the ship sailed on raging seas under the black skies of the storm that blotted out the sun and the stars. Exhausted and starving, everyone on board began to lose hope that they would survive this voyage. All except for Paul. Paul stood on the front of the crew passengers and said, "Men, you should have listened to me and not left Crete. But take courage. God's angel came to me last night and said that the ship will be destroyed, but all of us will survive. Even though we will be shipwrecked, God will save us." Finally, after 14 nights of fear and misery, the sailors sensed that the ship was approaching land. By measuring the water's depth, the sailors were able to tell that they were getting closer. They dropped the ship's anchors, hoping that they would stop before crashing against the rocks. Some of the terrified sailors could not wait to get off the ship and onto dry land, so they lowered the lifeboat to the water while pretending to lower anchors. Paul told a Roman officer of what was happening and warned, "Unless we all stay on the boat, you won't survive." Hearing this, the officer cut the lifeboat loose and it fell away. Before the sun came up the next day, Paul urged everyone to eat this so they would have the strength to survive the events that would take place that day. Everyone on board knew that their voyage would end with a shipwreck. Paul could see the fear and concern on their faces, so he offered them encouragement by reminding them that God said everyone on the ship will make it safely to shore. Paul then took some bread and gave thanks to God in front of the crew and passengers. He broke it into pieces and then began to eat. Everyone on board ate until they were full and they were strengthened and encouraged. At daylight, the sailors decided to run the ship aground. They cut away the anchors and aimed the ship for the beach. The ship slammed into a sandbar that was still a bit off the island's shore. The ship wouldn't budge out of the sand, and the waves began to smash what was left of the ship into pieces. The soldiers wanted to kill the prisoners to stop them from swimming away and escaping, but one soldier, who wanted to spare Paul's life, stopped the others from carrying out their plan. Some prisoners jumped overboard and swam ashore, while others survived by clinging to broken pieces of ship. In the end, everyone made it safely ashore on the island of Malta. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope to see you soon, but this time in church. Bye!
In today's story, what happens is Paul was in a place where he's actually really comfortable. Have you ever been somewhere where you're like so comfortable you don't want to leave? Maybe that's at home, maybe that's in your bed, and you just think, oh my goodness, I'm so comfortable, I don't want to leave. Maybe that's with your pet, loving on your pet and letting them know that you care about them, like them, throwing a ball with them. Maybe that's just being with your parents, watching TV together at your house. I know you've had that place where you felt really comfortable and cozy. Well, think about it this way. Paul probably felt that way when he was in Fair Havens. He urged the captain and the centurion guard that was with him to stay and wait out for the winter weather to clear. But Fair Havens wasn't where Paul was supposed to be, or where he was needed to be. As a matter of fact, he needed to be in Rome, which meant that he had to face some danger. And even though he had to face some danger, God was still with him, leading him out of this comfortable place to a place that was a little more scary, but he was guiding and directing and allowing them to see him at work through this scary situation. You know, there's this promise that God makes to Paul during this storm, and it's something that we need to remember. Although the journey to Rome was really a dangerous time, God's plan led Paul there. Paul and everyone on the ship had the right to be terrified. They had the right to be afraid for their lives. But as they sailed through that storm, they kept hearing hope. Hope from Paul. Hope from the message that God was giving to Paul. Hope because God was telling them they were all going to be safe. Paul could look at the same deadly storm without an ounce of fear because he trusted that God was going to take him through that. And this is kind of the last thing I want to leave you with. You know, sometimes safe doesn't mean we're going to be removed from bad things. So sometimes bad things will happen, but we're still safe. God's still taking care of us. God didn't make the weather nice for Paul, but he did make sure that Paul and everyone on board survived. Everyone on the ship faced serious, terrifying danger, but every one of them was safe in God's hands. That's the same promise for us. Our promise from God is He's going to keep us safe, and He's going to guide us. And it may come with its scary times, and it may not always seem perfect, but God is always with us, and He's keeping us safe. I hope you all have a good week. Don't forget to put your pictures up of your boats. I really want to see them. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.